so glad to have you here today listening to the Spiritual Cocaine Podcast. I am Jesika Miller, the mind trainer and phobia eliminator and founder of spiritualcocaine.com. Spiritual Cocaine was started as a resource to connect you with gifted practitioners that could guide you to reaching your highest self, heal the deepest parts of you that need healing, and remove any obstacles standing in your way of your best possible life. Join us weekly for high-quality guests and invaluable information that will change your life. SpiritualCocaine.com serves as a directory of practitioners, healers, coaches, and light workers sharing their gifts with you to take you to the highest levels of your being by healing your mind, body, and spirit, and in turn accessing your inner high. Our practitioners, healers, coaches, and light workers offer one-on-one session, group classes, courses, and events throughout the world. You can log on and look through a variety of practitioners, or if you are a practitioner yourself, you can create a profile for others to get to know you and use your services. Join the movement, find your guide, and get high on spiritual cocaine. Hello, and welcome to the Spiritual Cocaine Podcast, where we teach you to heal those parts of yourself that hold you back from living your best life. Spiritual Cocaine is an unlimited resource to show you the infinite ways to reach limitless happiness and abundance using the quantum field. I'm your host, Jesika Miller, and today's guest is Kirsten Korot, K-O-R-O-T. And I'm going to let you do the honor of introducing yourself because you do an abundance of things. You have a considerable amount of incredible offerings. And so if you could just let everybody know what it is exactly that you do.
I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Jesika.
Thank you.
So I am a odd combination of things. I am an intuitive healer and a sound healing practitioner. I'm also a certified Moonologist. I studied guided imagery at the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. So
I went there as well.
Yes.
Did you do the whole program? Did you do the whole program?
I didn't do the whole program. I did guided imagery with Cheryl.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
And because I was already doing it intuitively, and so I was already doing it on myself, and then I went in and Cheryl goes, "You already know this stuff." But it was one of those things where a lot of that's happened to me in my life where I was already doing things.
Do you have a specific topic that you specialize in? Because I know she works a lot with cancer people. Were you doing guided for a specific thing, or is there?
No, you know what I do? I find that it really works well with the sound when I'm doing sound or intuitive guidance, or even with the Moonology. I kind of so when I'm doing my sessions, it's customized to each person or each group based on what issues are coming up that they want to work through. So my sessions are very intuitive. So I feel into the body with sound. I'm feeling in with my intuition. And then if I feel like I need guided imagery because something's sitting there that's below the surface in the subconscious, then we work with that. And a lot of times like beautiful journeys happen along with the sound, helping like break apart blockages and things. So it becomes like they're journeying through the sound and releasing stuff that, and connecting in with what's in the subconscious. So sometimes somebody might walk in and say, well, I want to work on this. And then it turns out to be something completely different that was sitting below the surface that they didn't realize. So that's why I love bringing in all the practical tools of self-care and also energetic tools. So
and intuition is amazing too. I find that so many people come in and they've already decided what caused this, or decided what the root cause or how it happened, and they've created this whole story around it. And then when they come in, it's usually something completely different.
Exactly. And it's beautiful to see the aha moments of like, oh, that's what that is. Or see them let go of the energy by, laughing or crying or whatever they need to do that the body has to get rid of, that the body wants to release.
About how long are your sessions?
It varies. When I first see someone privately, I like to do 90 minutes because I like to have a talk before. So we talk about what's going on before we just move into doing the healing work. And then a lot of times at the end, people want me to do like a Moonology card pull, just because it's a nice way to just like, what's the message you need to get out of today, you know, and then have a discussion. I always want people to be able to ask questions, especially after you're doing energy work and sound work, that if they're feeling something in their body that they don't understand, I never want somebody to go home and say, well, I was feeling like all this tingling or all these, you know, or I was feeling a certain emotion or certain things coming up. So we usually end with a little bit of like closure and conversation. So usually first time 90 minutes. When somebody's seen me, then they're usually about 60 minutes.
And then I saw here on, you shared with us also, you work with animals.
Yep. Yeah.
So what kind of animal work do you do?
So I use the sound a lot with animals. It started a long time ago when I was working with people, and, you know, I do virtual and in people's homes. But when I would be in people's homes and they would lock the animals away in the other room, and then at the end of the session, the animal would be right next to the door, and they would kind of be relaxed down and they would want to be part of it, you know. And then it got to a point where like animals would greet me at the door because they're like, oh, we're going to get some sound. So then we start inviting them into the sessions, and because it's a way for people to take self-care time with their pet, and our pets pick up on our stress. Yeah. We pick up on their stress. When they're ill, we're stressed. When we're ill, sometimes animals will even get the same illness because they're feeling us, and, you know, that can happen. So if it's a nice way to sometimes force people to say, look, you're not taking self-care time for yourself. What about if we do it with your animal too? And then the whole household gets calmed down. So that's how it started, was they wanted to be in it. And so we invited them in. And then I started working with a lot of animals like wolves. I've done sound with taking people out for a sound bath with goats. And people can't believe, but they'll fall asleep as well. You know, they're all crazy running around, but then they get some sound and they're laying down. So, and that's because animals.
Childcare. This sounds good for childcare too.
Oh, it is, yeah. But the thing is that we don't think about the fact that like we have so much mind chatter going on. Animals don't have that. They're completely in the present, so they don't have the mind chatter. They're not in what they did yesterday. They're not making a list of what they're going to do tomorrow. They're just completely present. And so we learn how to be present and how to be fully in our bodies when we can watch animals and see how they respond to sound, because they will go down a lot faster than humans because they're just in it, feeling it all. You know, they're not thinking. They're getting out. They're not in their head like we are most of the time.
That's amazing. That's super incredible. I love that. So you mentioned you do online and virtual?
I do. So, yeah, I do.
I'm sorry, in person and virtual. So is it just as effective to do it virtual as it is in person?
Oh yeah. All through COVID I did, you know, and beyond now. But really when COVID hit, I had to reframe my business because I couldn't do it in the spaces I was doing. And people were so stressed that even my corporate sound baths, you know, I was doing lunchtime sound where they're able to just come in and not be on video at all. So they're in their own sacred space and they can just have headphones on and just relax in the sound. And a lot of my groups that I do, people, you know, I don't bring people back on screen at the end because a lot of times they fall asleep or they're just so in the zone. I want to leave them there. I want them to be in their relaxed space. But yeah, because during this, I learned how to set up my sound and, you know, people feel like they're in the room with me. So I really love doing that now. And so there are a lot
of amazing experience.
Yeah.
I can't wait to experience it with you.
Yeah, I love doing that.
What I want to talk about today is your Moonology offerings. So if you could explain to us what Moonology is and how you help people and guide people through what it is that you do.
Okay. So I had, before I explain what Moonology is, just to explain, I had been working with moon cycles probably over 20 years. And at every new moon, I would set intentions and really sit down and journal and think about what it is that I wanted to manifest for the month ahead. And then at full moons, we do our releasing work. We what do we need to let go of? What's blocking us? What's standing in the way? And I was doing that for years and keeping my journals, and pretty much everything that I wanted to manifest always went in a journal first. And it was my way of like tracking things also. So in my health, because I was really sick many years ago, I focused on, I want to heal myself. When I was in corporate before I jumped into being a healer and a coach, and me wanting to make that a reality went in my moon journal. So it started all of that, like all my business ideas and all those things started in moon journals. Then as I started to work with it more, and I got to know Jasmine Boland, who created Moonology, she opened up and said, I'm going to certify my first group of people. She actually decided to teach us, which for the first time, and I was like, oh, I'm there. So I really stepped into like studying, it in much more detail, what I was already doing again, intuitively, naturally. And I just got so excited about it, because what Moonology does is, and my approach to it is, it's like taking the moon and the cycles of nature also as like a cosmic life coach, self-care coach in a sense, where, because especially as women, we are already in our bodies and our cycles in tune to the moon. Mm-hmm. It's a natural thing for us. Men do Moonology as well, but mostly women are pulled to it. Right. Our cycles naturally are in tune with that. Mm-hmm. What Moonology does is it's to follow the cycles of the moon for self-care, for manifesting, and it really becomes something where when you follow the moon, then each cycle of, each of the 8 cycles of the moon, you're delving into what are the self-care practices and the lessons that it's teaching you around the sign that it's in. Like, for example, we're coming up on a full moon that's in Pisces. We're coming in on Mercury retrograde, and people that follow astrology, this is a little different approach. You're using the themes and the lessons around the phase of the moon. And like I had said, during the new moon, we set intentions. So we get really clear, and I guide people through journaling, through meditation, through sound, to get real clarity on what is it that you really want. Because when people, it's not about putting affirmations out there. Yes, it's bringing that law of attraction in, but in a practical way too, but more about really feeling it in your body. Because if you set an intention
that's the missing point.
That's the missing link.
You could say it all you want. If you don't feel it, it's just words.
Right. And so it's learning those tools and how to recognize and start to clear away and hone in on what is it you really want to manifest, and are you truly committed to it? And you've got to feel it in your body. You've got to feel that it's possible. You've got to believe that it can be, that it can manifest, because as I talk about in Moonology, the biggest block to manifesting is self-doubt. And so we work a lot with self-doubt and those things. And so we track along the phases of the moon, and there's times to be in the doing phases. There's times to be in the reflective phases, where you're then reassessing what intentions that you set, and are they still resonating, and you're really beginning to learn how to work with your intuition. Or do you need to reassess? Do you need to revisit something? So you start getting more clear. Then there's a time to do the releasing work during the full moon, where you're really like letting go of what's not working and whatever emotions are blocking you, letting go of fears and worries and all of those things, but doing it with the tools of using meditation and journaling and sound and all those other tools to help you feel into your body. And then there's a rest period. So we go through all the periods of where you're you're setting your intentions, you're taking action steps, you're reflecting on whether or not it's working, whether or not you still are really committed to what you want to manifest, or then releasing what's blocking you, and then time to just rest and reboot, which is a lot of the things. So it puts you into the habit of making self-care time, of making time to get clear.
And what exactly is your course offering around? Because obviously
Right. So in the
new moon and the full moon.
Right. So in the course, we go through all the phases, but what we do is dig in even deeper, because you can do these just in general, or what I do is I take people's birth time, I take their natal chart, and we dig in and we learn, and they learn how the houses in their chart works. And when a moon shows up in a certain house, let's say it shows up in your finances, or it shows up in your relationships, or it shows up in how you view yourself, or it shows up in your home, then that, based on what sign it's in and where it is in your house, then it's telling you that's the area of your life to hone in on right now.
So is the Moonology, is this a one-on-one? Is this a one-on-one course, or is this a group?
No,
course?
I do it in groups. So
and how long does it run? Is it a one-time thing? Is it
No, it'll be a 6-week program. So we're able to go through all the cycles. Everybody will get their chart, and then we learn how to work. You learn how to work with your own chart and what it means when a new moon is in a certain house on your chart, what it means when a full moon is in a certain house, what the waning and waxing moon mean, how to use them, so that by the time you've gone through 6 weeks, you've gone through all the cycles and really sitting and doing work with something in particular that you want to manifest, and taking the action steps, looking at where you're blocked. So you're actually working towards a certain intention, a certain thing that you want to manifest, but learning how to understand how the energies work personally, not just on the
online.
Yes, online.
All online. And how often do you meet?
So we'll be meeting once a week. And then I also give them workbooks, because when we're in the different phases of the moon, whatever sign it's in, I give them the workbook, and then they can look at that against their own chart. And then there will be certain periods of time when we come in and just do Q&A if people have questions and answers, but they get the tools, like a worksheet to work with, as well as their chart. And then we meet every week. If we're in a new or full moon, we'll also do the rituals together. So we'll do sound.
So do you learn the rituals in the class as well?
No, I've been doing for so many years. So there's certain rituals that I already know. And then I use, again, my intuition. When we do the full moon, we always do like a fire releasing, because it feels really good to burn up what you want to let go of. So we do a fire releasing, and people can do that at home. I also do creative rituals that when I do in person, I'll bring I've taught them how to create their own new moon intention candle, and I bring everything for that. Or if they're at home, I tell them how they can make their own intention candle, or how to make their own full moon bath salts, because I usually give those away at my in-person. So you learn little fun things like that. And I also give them different crystals if they're people that are interested in learning the other little added things about if they want to create a little altar for themselves. So I love bringing all those tools in.
This is amazing. I think right now I see like a lot of people are interested in the moon and the moon cycles, and they do sort of the basics, like you said. They do the calling in the one time a month, and the letting go the one time a month, and they kind of keep it very surface. And I know that people are starting to buy crystals that they're attracted to, and then they put them out to charge, to charge outside. And I think you're the first person that I've heard of actually having like an offering around helping people to understand. I think it creates a different level of awareness when people understand the intention behind it. I think it creates a deeper sense of meaning. What the ritual why you're doing the ritual and not just going through the motions on a wing and a prayer, hoping that, your manifestations come true.
Right, because a lot of people can do, and I see it even in my in-person, they may show up and do the work, but then it's the accountability of, are you really committed to taking the action steps, the next phase? And then are you really committed to looking at where you're blocked and your fears and your worries and all those things? When you do it in a group, though, I will tell you that it's so beautiful to see how the group helps each other, because that's why I love doing it in groups, because there's usually a synchronicity that always happens of why certain people come to the groups, because there's some correlations, and then they begin to help each other too. So they're helping heal each other at the same time. I do these one-on-one with people as well, but I really enjoy doing it in the group, and this will be new for me to bring it online. I've been doing it, in person, but I want to reach more people that want to do this work and that really want to, manifest their goals and their dreams, but they just get stuck because maybe they're making the same, new moon wish month after month, but they're not really going deeper and looking at what's blocking them or where the limiting beliefs are or how they're not taking action steps because they don't really believe they deserve it, or somebody else is telling them it's too crazy of an idea, those things. So you've got to have a support.
I work on that stuff in my practice. You work on that stuff in your practice as far as removing the limiting beliefs and stuff? Because, you can point those things out, but if you're not going to do anything about them,
Right.
All you do is just know why.
Yeah, but I think that what's important too is that, and one thing that is the biggest thing for me is holding space for that, because people have to feel safe to be that vulnerable, because if you're going to dive in deep, you've got to feel safe.
Yes, definitely. What I just have a question about sound healing, because I'm not very educated about sound healing. Are you aware of the brainwave state that sound wave healing takes you to?
Yes. Yeah, so it brings you into a meditative state, like a theta state, because it calms down both sides of the brain, right? So and certain sounds help to do that. And when I use certain binaural beats, with the singing bowls, it helps to bring the mind into a meditative state. You're kind of in that awake. You're in between awake and asleep, where you're just kind of.
The theta brainwave state is the healing brainwave state.
It is the healing brain, right?
That's the minimum that you have to be at to be in a healing state. So it had honestly never occurred to me that that's what's occurring in a sound bath. And now that you've explained that to me, you've just created a different level of awareness for me that now I understand more of of the healing aspects of the sound is the theta brainwave state.
And it also goes in, so the way I explain the science of sound is that sound goes in at a very deep level. It goes into your cells, your tissues, your organs. We are bodies of water, so it's going in and it's, moving through the bodies of water, and it's also looking for and where we're blocked. So it knows where to go. It's like we don't have to tell it where to go. So thing is, the best thing you can do is let your mind shut off, let the sound do its job. It's going to find in your body where it needs to go. And it's just like surrendering to it. I do find that people that have trouble meditating, where it's harder to quiet their mind, will have an easier time with sound, because just listening to the sounds just kind of calms the whole system down. It calms your parasympathetic nervous system down. It calms your heart rate, your blood pressure.
And I love that you said that. I love that you said that, because I've explained to people that the healing brainwave state is theta. It doesn't matter how you get there. And I feel like there's, I get a lot of clients that have a lot of judgment against themselves of, I can't meditate, I can't do this. You don't have to meditate. You have to get into a theta brainwave state, whether that's through hypnosis, NLP, sound healing, whatever your modality is to take you to the theta brainwave state where you can create a healing. There's no judgment.
Right.
There's no judgment. So that's beautiful that I can let people know that that the sound healing is another tool that they can use.
Oh, absolutely. And I always tell people there's no right or wrong way. I mean, the sound is going to find its way in. Even if you're still sometimes having the mind chatter, the sound is doing its job. Even if people fall asleep, sound is still going into the body. And especially when I do sound on the body, which is different than sitting in a sound bath. When I have people in person, I have it in front of me, but I have my Tibetan bowls. So these go on the body, and then it's going all the way through. People will say, "Oh my God, I feel that all the way out my back," or,
I really appreciate how I feel like sound healing is very trendy now. And one of my goals in creating this space is to kind of separate the fluff from the real healers here, and not the people who are doing it because it's trendy and you can make a little money and you kind of think it's cool and it's the mode right now, but to really the beautiful art of understanding really what it is. And I appreciate so much how your ability to explain it and your knowledge on the subject is. I just want to express gratitude to you for.
Oh, thank you. Well, I came to it, over 20 years ago. I came to it at the late 90s. So there wasn't anybody doing sound baths. And for me to try and do them, I had to do them out of my own apartment, and because there were no spaces to do them at. And then still explaining to people what it was. And I try to explain to people, just going to a sound bath where there's a ton of things going on doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get into that state.
It's going to heal you.
You're over activating the mind. So if you're busy looking at visuals while you're trying to take in sound, that completely defeats the purpose of trying to shut the mind off, because you're engaging your eyes, your brain, and everything. So sometimes more is not better, right? It's like simpler is better, because you want to not be engaging the mind all the time or engaging the eyes and all that thing, because you're not then really going into that theta state that we both know is so important. So so it's such a different world than what I started out as a baby sound healer. And so it's easy to say, well, then I should do this and I should bring all these people in. For me, I just feel like the right people will find me. I'm old fashioned that way, but I would rather educate people. I work with, I work with kids. I'm working with schools. I'm working with a temple and their congregation and things like that. And, helping school teachers that are stressed. And so for me, it's like, that's, I'm with the people that I need to be.
My daughter's former preschool teacher, she was doing it with the kids. She was bringing her sound bowls in with the kids, and they loved it. It's an amazing thing. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I would like you to share with us what your upcoming, I know did you say you have a moon circle coming up? What upcoming things do you have?
So I have we're going into Mercury retrograde. And the other thing is, everybody always talks about being afraid of Mercury retrograde. One of the things we teach in Moonology is that it's actually a great self-care tool to reflect and reassess things. That if you use it in the right way, it can give you a lot more information. So I'm doing a full moon and Mercury retrograde, my women's circles, which I just love, in person. And I do those in Sherman Oaks at Liberate Yourself. And I will be doing online again with my moon circles as well. And then I'll have my new moon coming up. I'm going to do a sound bath with you and your dog, so people can bring their, one dog per person, and we're going to do that outdoors at the same place I do my full moon circles in Sherman Oaks, so that people can come and learn more about one of the chakras that dogs have that humans don't have that bonds us to our animals.
Cool.
So we'll do a little bit of meditation. You'll learn about the brachial chakra on your dog and meet other dog owners and their dogs,
Cool.
and then have a sound bath together.
And then what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Website, Instagram? What's your preference?
You know what? I have my website, but a lot of people reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, and I always encourage people, like, DM me. I'm there because I'm here to, like.
What is your Instagram, if you could share that with everyone?
Yeah, it's Kirsten, Kirsten, Korot, Korot, International. And same on Facebook. And I just encourage people, like, reach out to me, ask me questions. If you want me to share on my Instagram, on my link tree, I have most of my events posted there. So you just go to my bio link and I put everything there. I even have a video of me with the wolves there. If people want to see what that looks like. And
amazing.
So that's the best way, is I like person-to-person contact. So DM me.
Right. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on today. Kirsten Korot. I want to make sure I say your name the right way. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you and all of your information, your knowledge. I can't wait to have you on again and talk about one of the other many modalities that you have to help people with. So thank you for coming to the Spiritual Cocaine podcast, where we teach you to heal those parts of yourself that hold you back from living your best life. I'm Jesika, the mind trainer, and our beautiful guest today, Kirsten. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and we will meet again soon.
Thank you for joining me, Jesika, the mind trainer, and Phobia Eliminator here on the Spiritual Cocaine podcast. If you loved what you heard today, please be sure to leave us a positive review on this podcast so that it can continue to provide you with the best resources available in your ascension journey. Most of the episodes can be watched on our YouTube channel, which you can find by searching Spiritual Cocaine on YouTube. Find out more about our guests in depth on our website, spiritualcocaine.com, along with many other gifted practitioners. And as always, give us a follow on Instagram, where you will definitely find our juiciest content. Our Instagram address is @spiritualcocaine_. Bye for now.